Good morning or evening if you're in the States, everyone. I think we are live. Thank you very much for coming. If you've been waiting in the queue, it's a little bit earlier than 11 o'clock, but I can see John backstage there. So I thought, well, why not kick it off a little bit early? So what say we bring him in?
Chris!
John, how are you?
Good, my friend. How are you?
Well, this has to be pretty rare for no technical issues from my end, which
This
is
and
really
this
good.
is your first episode. I have never, not once, gone on time. And this is your first time, and you're early.
Yeah, well, I
Unbelievable,
saw
man.
you waiting there, and I thought, oh, let's bring him in. Let's start. So, yeah, I'm very excited to have you here, and it's lovely to meet you in person. And
Same.
I feel that even though this is classed as an interview, a Booktube interview, I think it's going to go a different way. I think it's going to be pretty informal because there's a fair bit to chat about that I think we're both enthusiastic about,
Oh
which
yeah.
is all good. So, look, you're nearly at 3,000 subscribers 7 months in, and it was only not long ago that you'd hit 1,000. How's the ride been?
I mean, okay. I don't look very often. I really don't. And I was watching a live stream last night for Andrew at Wizardly Reads hitting 5,000. And
Yeah,
and somebody said on there, yeah, well, like John, who's almost at 3,000. I was like, what?
yep.
And so, so then I went and looked. I was like, what the? Honestly, I really started this. I mean, this for me, this is the dream. Like I just wanted to meet some people, talk about books, find out some new authors, find some new recommendations, hang out with some new friends. And this is what it was all about for me. And I haven't even been kind of watching the other thing. So I can't explain it. I have no idea. I'm doing the same thing. I have no idea.
Oh, look, it's pretty easy to work out. You're just being yourself, and I think it's your enthusiasm that is very contagious to people. I think that shines through because when I watch your reviews, you get if a book excites you, you get fired up and animated, and with things like the Glass Box, for instance, I'm really keen to read that myself because you've actually talked about it on the channel, and yeah, so your enthusiasm does influence people to buy books, I think, which is really good. But you're just being yourself.
I mean,
So
the cool thing is that I haven't had a bad read in 7 months
yeah,
because I've just been trying to catch up on all that I've missed, and people are recommending what's great, and it's like I go from one great read to the next. I mean, it's
yeah.
been that's the ride that's been great.
Yeah, I mean, in recent months for myself, I've hit a bit of a streak like you, where I've read book after book after book that has been amazing. And it was only a couple of months ago that I DNF'd one, which was a bit of a disappointment. But the things I'm reading at the moment, and the slow depletion of funds from the bank account too.
Oh, that is, yeah, absolutely. I've been on a book buying craze, but
It's crazy.
you're right. Like I just get stacks, but I mean, I've had some incredibly nice people send stuff. So I mean, that's helped tremendously as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And then you've got other booktubers that talk about their books, and you're putting it on your wish list for Amazon, and then when you get a few spare funds, you just go and click, 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 aren't you? And with in my case, I'm planning on doing a fairly big book haul later this month, but I'm just waiting on all the orders to come in, and I'm being very disciplined. The packages are starting to arrive, but I'm not going to open them until all of them are here, and then you can do an unboxing online. I love doing live unboxings.
I saw that. I saw you were building up to that. I don't have that discipline. Like when when you know what I love my entire life, even when I first started reading, and it was one thing my mom would never say no. It's like I need a book, right? And she would take me to the bookstore, and I love buying books. Like it's you pick it. That is a new journey. It's a new adventure. It's new people. It's a new world. There's no way if a box comes in and there's a book in it, I'm gonna open that box.
It's the
I just
anticipation, isn't it? Yeah, yeah.
I don't think I could
And you're in the
wait.
bookstore, and you pick up a book, and you have to flip it and sniff that. It's,
The pages, right?
I know, right? It's so
Yeah.
good. And that series just there, you're really digging that, aren't you, at the moment? I've
I
noticed.
finished this today. I just
Yeah,
finished this
wow.
today. And have you started this one?
Not yet, no. I after you've been speaking about it and Mike's been speaking about it, is on my radar, but I think I'm a little bit tied up with the Cosmere, which brings us
Uh,
to one of the main subjects.
yeah, I know you just
This
finished Way of Kings. Yeah,
oh,
yeah. How far are you in right now? You're low at
I've
half?
just finished part two,
Yeah.
and I've just premiered my part two reading vlog of that. But I have to tell you, I'm having a bit of a break until a bit later this afternoon, then I'm back into it. And I thought, wow, part two was absolutely amazing. And then I thought I'll read the interludes last night. Oh my God, Zeph, look out.
Yeah.
Look out.
Yeah. That guy's no. Oh, wait. I mean, I can't say anything, but yeah, I just finished. It was my read of the year last year. Was Words of Radiance, and
Oh, you
um,
love that.
oh,
Yeah,
it was my read of the year last year. Like I loved so much about it, and I see Brandon Sanderson is one of those authors that I had no idea. I had no idea. I just been reading my favorites, and my reading was down to maybe, God, I don't know, like maybe sometimes 10, 12 books a year. Like I just
yeah.
wasn't reading the way I used to be. And it was like I need to get, I miss it. I need to get back into story. And I turned on Booktube, and it's like, who is Brandon Sanderson? What is that? What's going on with that? And it was the year of Sanderson and everything when I first started tuning in to get recommendations. So
He's
now
absolutely
I have like a master reading list of what like I'm trying to go
yeah,
through the whole thing. So
yeah,
next up for me is another Mistborn Era 2, I think, is next month.
yeah. I noticed when you were talking about Words of Radiance when you first started that you were about a third of the way through, and then like days later, you'd nearly finished it. I'm like, oh my God, it must be good. And I've got to have some discipline because I want to read that next. But I feel Way of Kings, I wanted to start with that one because of the hype. And I think there's no better way to sink your teeth into the universe. And then after I finish this, then I'm going to go back and do the actual reading order properly, and then space out the big books because I've mentioned in one of my videos, I want to be part of that collective anticipation and excitement in December when the fifth book comes out, to have read Rhythm of War by about late October, and then I'm
Right.
ready. And to be a part of that excitement, it was the same with Stranger Things when season 4 came out. So
Right. And
yeah,
I'm on the same train. That's my goal, is to be caught up and ready into next year, or into this year now. It's like, oh my God, it's so crazy. But yeah, so that's what I'm shooting for as well. And then after I get done with that in 2025, I'll start some other huge series, either Malazan or Robin Hobb, Realm of the Elderlings. I haven't decided which one yet.
yeah. No, fair enough. And with the Way of Kings coming back to that part two, just Dalinar's story arc was just so touching and really meaningful for me because there's that label being thrown around that you're crazy and you're mentally unstable. But if you look at it from a different point of view, he did have this experience and tied into the high storms and dialed into all this knowledge because I thought reading about that was fantastic. I won't spoil anything on here for those that haven't read it, but you just think he experienced that, and people need to be convinced of that because it has ramifications of how the story is going to move forward and how he arrived at that massive decision at the end of part two. It's
Yeah.
yeah, but
Yeah. So you're all in on Dalinar, huh?
yeah, and Kaladin, obviously, he's just
Yeah.
brilliant as well. I
Bridge
mean,
4, yeah.
how he goes to what he does to get the men's allegiance, and
Yeah.
when he's in the chasm and he I don't want to spoil anything here, but gives that display.
It's so hard, right? Yeah.
I know, right? And I'm like,
Yeah.
oh my God, you rock! And
Yeah.
and obviously in part two, Shallan took a back seat, but I've started the first couple of paragraphs of part three, and yeah, we're back into her now, so we'll just see exactly what happens there. But
The
yeah.
Sanderlench at the end, when everything starts tumbling down on you, Shallan has some moments. That's all I'll say. Shallan gets payoff for sure. And then book 2 focuses a lot on her. I love for me, the world building of this book and informs everything, you know, like they're trying to figure out what happened before them, and they're trying to figure out their own history.
Exactly. Yeah, that's right.
Whether it be through like religious level visions like Dalinar is having, or scholarly pursuits as Shallan, or, you know, just trying to survive on the front lines and figuring out where this conflict came from and where it's going and how I can overcome my own demons to participate in it. And it's like these three fronts kind of moving in tandem to figure out the cycle of cataclysm and rebirth of this world. And it's just like, it was just so appealing to me. I absolutely loved it.
Yeah, and how he builds that world is very, very gradual and subtle. He doesn't lay it on you too thick, and you just get you're getting this knowledge and this picture of this whole world, and it's just absolutely amazing, from the flora and the fauna. I mean, the grass that pulls back in on itself when when the slave wagons go across the grass, and the chasm fiends, and just all that lore and the legends of the Radiants. It's just all encompassing, and he just does an incredible job, and I can't believe I waited so long to dive in.
Yeah, it's very it's like ocean ecology, right? Like a coral reef almost sometimes, you know. What brought to mind. And it's like when you get in more into the entire cosmos, you see how it's all linked. Like all these far-flung planets are all in a cosmology, all linked. Like this guy is like Stan Lee, man. He's creating a universe, not just worlds, like an entire universe. It's crazy.
Yeah, and the thing that fascinates me greatly in the book are those death rattles. I don't know what their significance is. Do you find out more as you go on in this series, or do you have to? Are they in other books?
You will find out. You don't have. You will find out. I think you'll be. I don't want to ruin anything, but you not in the not distant future, you will find out.
Oh wow, can't wait.
Yeah.
But I'm having a ball with it, and I mean, going in, the length from the beginning looked a little bit intimidating, but once you get into the story, you're fine. And I mean, Brandon Sanderson, you know, I've been orbiting all the hype around him for a few years now, and finally got to read this. But he's just the perfect example of how an author needs to treat the fan base.
Oh no, he's beyond that. Like the guy has his own channel, like his own con. He has, I mean, he has beyond touch with the fan base. It's I mean, he's publishing his own books, like he's his own cottage industry. Like it's amazing what he's done. Absolutely amazing.
And most a successful Kickstarter of all time.
Right? Right? Like I'm sure he didn't in his wildest dreams imagine, oh, I'll get this many million. Like I mean, that had to even shock him, I would guess. But I know you do a lot of thrillers, right? Like, is that why you just hadn't gotten around to fantasies or something? Or
that's it. Yeah, I started reading a little bit back in 2020, and I started with the Demon Cycle from Peter V. Brett, which was very good. And then I moved. Yeah,
haven't done that one. Haven't done that.
Yeah, that one's brilliant. Although I haven't gotten into the last book for some reason, it just hasn't drawn me in. But things like the Magician trilogy from Feist, I've read that one, and a few others. But I would like to get into more fantasy. But yes, you are right. My main genre is thriller, and I absolutely love that genre to death. But just trying to get a bit more of a following, because I know how fantasy is massive on Booktube at the moment. I've always wanted to read a lot more of it, and I thought, look, 2024 is going to be the year, I think.
Yeah.
To get stuck in.
Because the first arc of Stormlight wraps up, you know, it's the perfect time. It's the perfect time. Yeah. And it's like I was always I had done a lot of horror, and I love the thriller vibe. Hey Britton, I love the thriller vibe, but I love it when it's kind of got like some supernatural elements into it.
Yeah, yep.
So I don't know if you've done Repairman Jack or stuff like that, but
I've heard of that one. Yeah,
I think you would love that one. Yeah,
definitely,
because it operates like a thriller, but it's got like supernatural stuff in there, overtones.
Yeah. So with the glass box that comes out, I think any day now. I think it's already out, so I must get a copy
Uh,
of that.
on the 9th. Comes out on the
Yeah,
9th.
yeah. So what do you think it draws some parallels and is similar to One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest? It's been reputed to be comparable. Is that true?
It is, and this is kind of what I felt in my review. It's almost got two plot threads going, and I mean, which is fine. Books have a lot more sometimes, but it's like it wants to be a lot like Brave New World, 1984, Clockwork Orange, that kind of dystopian look. If we don't realize where we're headed, where we're going to be in the not too distant future at all, if we don't listen to each other's voices with some empathy and understanding. Um, so I thought it was going to go all in on that and become much darker. But then it kind of changes and dovetails along with this other plot thread that is very much Ken Casey, One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. And then it's kind of both moving at the same time. And if you didn't have both those, the emotional kick of the book would be gone, because it's when those two come together, the two characters come together and meet each other and have real emotional meetings in the facility that it really punches you in the chest. So I get what he was trying to do. I just almost thought I thought it was going a different way, and then he gave me something else, which fair play to him. He's the writer, he gets to tell whatever story he wants to tell. But it did absolutely have some beats that you would go, oh yeah, that's a lot of Cuckoo's Nest there.
Yeah, good. I'm looking forward to that. So may get to that after Way of Kings, but there's a lot of books that I'm looking forward to this year. A lot of new releases. I'm looking forward to You Like It Darker, the new Stephen King collection. That should be a cracker.
I will be picking that up as well. I always pick up a King book, but it's like I don't know if I need a sequel to Cujo. I can't. I'm really interested to see what he does with that.
Yeah, it's been a minute, hasn't it?
I mean, I don't know what's left to tell about that story, but we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah.
But I do love his shorter stuff, like Different Seasons, Night Shift, some of his short story collections. I think is when he's at his most powerful, sometimes when he's really focused and narrows down what he's doing, really goes for the impact in a short, quick punch like that. I think he's great. So I will definitely be picking that up.
Absolutely. And I noticed Night Shift featured in your top 10 as well, which is pretty much the main reason that got me into your channel in the first place, because it's always nice to see someone else have a similar top 10. For me, my favorite collection was Skeleton Crew. I just love that one. But
love Skeleton Crew. Love that one too. For me, I think Night Shift has some nostalgia because I remember reading it as a teenager,
Yeah.
and I remember what, I can't wait to get home and get back to it. So I'm sure I got some rose-colored glasses on with it.
Yeah, and particularly with, not many people have Wizard and Glass as a high-ranking book in their top 10, and I've got the same thing, and I just absolutely love that because I'm a hopeless romantic. It's just an incredible story, isn't it?
Oh yeah, for me, anytime you get into the Arthurian neighborhood legend neighborhood, I just love it. I absolutely love it. So for him to like interweave Sergio Leone's wandering no man and the Arthurian, round table of Eld and all that, kind of bring it all together. It's such a love story to all storytelling, just all storytelling. And I just thought that one, the flashbacks of when he was young were just so poignant. You finally get to draw the curtain back and see where this stoic hero came from, I love it. Absolutely love it. For me, it's my favorite in the series.
Yeah, and with the gunslinger, I think my favorite violent scene out of a lot of things is the Battle of Tull. I absolutely love that. Just blow all these zombified people away. It's fantastic, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean the Crimson King. What amazing. The Walking Dude, the Crimson King. I mean, some of the best villains ever, right? And everything he throws at him.
Yeah, and as time goes on, the Bookish Brides are here. Hey, Scott. Hey, Becky. As time goes on, it's been longer and longer between reads for me with a lot of King's work, and I know Mike is doing a lot of the Into the Multiverse, which is fantastic. And there's some that I haven't read since I was 15. I mean, I haven't read Pet Sematary since it scared the shit out of me back in the day, and haven't been game enough to go back to it. Have you felt any of that towards his books? Or
Since I did my list, so many people love Pet Sematary. That's a great example, right? Like, the coolest thing about putting that list out there was I had so many people comment and go, "Oh, this is on my list," or "I can't believe you didn't have Pet Sematary on there." And it's like, I read Pet Sematary when I was so young, man. I was so young. Hey, what's up, Johan? And I think that it didn't hit me right. I didn't understand what he was doing with the themes of parenthood and grief and loss and all this kind of stuff going on. But I wasn't mixed on Fairy Tale. I just didn't like it. I liked some of the first half. But I think I just missed it. I was just there for this. Go ahead, man. Go ahead.
Sorry, on that Fairy Tale, that's very interesting, because I would have just been happy reading about the slice of life stuff in the first portion of the book, and then everything got weird in the last portion, and it sort of
it just
put me offside a little bit.
He didn't give himself enough time. It just became, I mean, it was a really great beginning, and then it's just like, and Spartacus. Like, what?
Yeah, what was up with that?
What happened?
Yeah.
But when I remember Pet Sematary, it's like, I'm not scared of this little kid. You could punt this little kid out of the house. Like, why is that scary? And I was just there for the scares. I didn't understand what he was doing thematically. So I would love to go back and reread that. And like Rose Madder, Duma Key, like so many holes that I haven't read at all that I've missed when I was kind of out of reading. I've started buying and getting them in. It's like these I hear these are great. I have to go back and catch up on some of these.
Absolutely. Some Okie Dude says, I've heard Aussie crime fiction is really good. Yeah, it is. There are a lot of good Aussie crime writers. There's Chris Hammer, who's very, very good. And there's also Lucy Campbell, who that was my favourite debut read of last year. It was called Lowbridge, about a 35-year-old crime that gets solved. So if you look out for those kind of books, you can't go wrong. Absolutely.
Yeah, I know that made your list last year. I agree, man. I dug the first half. I mean, his character stuff is always, I think he's he brings so much of who he is to his characters. So they seem so real. They seem like people we've all known. And I kind of get a feeling that I know him because I've read him for decades and decades and decades. And he puts so much of himself into his characters. And I agree, man. The beginning of the boy meeting this man and the dad and the tragedy of their family and trying to care for someone else. It's like, if he would have just stuck with that, I'd have been cool.
Yeah, definitely. What else have we got here? Scrublands. Yeah, you'll enjoy it. Yeah, you'll really enjoy that. Yeah. Only Killers and Thieves. Haven't heard of that one. I'll have to write that one down. Yeah. But John, Holly, that was a cracker. I thought a lot of people had mixed reactions about it. They said they were talking about the political overtones and the COVID stuff. And I'm like, yeah, look, it was in there, but it wasn't heavily laced for me. I really, really enjoyed how Holly sort of comes full circle. And before I read Holly, I knew the book was coming out, 12 months prior. And I thought, I don't know much about Holly, so I hadn't read the Hodges trilogy either. So I made a point of reading those back to back, which were brilliant. And obviously I read The Outsider and If It Bleeds. And I felt going into Holly, I was much more prepared and appreciative of the book because I knew her. And she just absolutely, without spoiling it for people who haven't read it, she absolutely is an ass kicker in it. On the surface, she has her issues with CD and what have you, but then if you back her into a corner, man, look out.
Yeah. And what an arc from the first Bill Hodges book, right? Like to where she gets to. I mean, I really did like that book, and yeah, it did. For me, my hat's off to him as an artist that has been doing this for so long, right? And he
Yep.
absolutely could put a book out that he knows we all want. He knows what we want from him. He knows we know what he does, right? But he, as an artist, he wanted to sit down and mark time and kind of say sometimes we can't come to terms with what we've all been through until art reflects it back at us. And I want to take a stab at marking time and doing that. It's like fair play to him, man. Like to be at your point of the career, to still be trying to stretch yourself, do different things, and have not just come out with the next Stephen King book that we all kind of expect. I really appreciated it. I really did. I thought it was cool.
Yeah. Yeah, his writing has matured in such a way that it's allowed him to branch out a little bit and do something a little bit different because, a lot of new readers are picking up his new style of writing as well. And I think, yeah, he's an absolute legend. But on the other side of the coin, have you tried Dean Koontz?
I used to read everything Dean Koontz wrote. When talking about, I started more horror than fantasy. And
Yep.
when I was every Dean Koontz book that came out, I was there day one in the bookstore picking it up. And then I hit a point where it's like, okay, this is either a super smart dog, a woman on the run. Like he has like 3 or 4 hooks, and he's going to play those riffs every time. And it's like, you know what? I'm just going to step back for a while and then I'll come back to it. And I never came back to it. I just got sidetracked with life and other things, and I just haven't been back. But I look at some of the Odd Thomas stuff. I look at some of the stuff that he's doing now, and it's like, I should check. I should come back because he was always someone I enjoyed.
Yeah, the Odd Thomas series is absolutely fantastic. You'd really like that. I think there's about 7 books in the series, which is fantastic. But I've become a little bit less trusting of him lately, and I don't like to load on, but his latest books just have been a little bit of a miss for me. Something didn't quite work. I know he has to grow as a writer, and he's trying out new stories and things like that. But one of the recent books, The House at the End of the World, I tried to read that one, and there was this mystery, but if I read about someone cooking in the kitchen for 30 to 50 pages and making her meals and things like that, I'm like, I'm not going to continue with it because I don't have time for that because I've got so many awesome things to read. I just, I think my tolerance level is a little bit lower these days with his work. Yeah.
Yeah. And for me, it was just kind of a repetition of themes that like, I fell out of it. So he's somebody I met at a signing several times, and he's he is like the super coolest, nicest guy at a signing because as he was getting bigger and bigger and bigger, he could take less and less time with people that stood in line. So he would have a like 2 to 3 page typed letter of what was going on with his life, what was going on with his work. And everyone that came to get a book signed, he would say, I wish I had more time to spend with you. Here's a letter of what's going on with me. Take it, read it if you'd like. I wish I could chat with you, but I just don't want to keep everyone else waiting. And I mean, that really struck me as like, this guy, he was awesome. He was really great.
I'll tell you a funny story with, before the internet and everything like that. I think it was the time when Dolores Claiborne came out. I think that was the time. And then I actually wrote this letter to Stephen King saying, what's your next book? Because we take this for granted now.
Sure.
And I didn't expect a response. And his assistant, Marsha, sent me a letter with a photocopy of a writing article he did to teach writing. And he said, look, that was at the point where Stephen wasn't responding to his own mail. And what she said to me was, look, I can tell you that the next book coming out is Gerald's Game. And I felt like God because I knew it and no one else did.
Yeah. But isn't it a different world now, Chris? Like I finished this today and tweeted about how much I liked it. And Mike Shackle tweeted back at me like, it blows my mind.
It's crazy, isn't it?
It's unbelievable for me to sit here and be talking to you in Australia about books and stuff. Like, unbelievable.
Without a ham radio, it's like,
right?
Now, what does Becky has got to say? I'm hoping King is finished with the tome. I think he is strongest in the 400 to 600 page range. The only King tome I've really enjoyed is It, and a vast minority here, though. Yeah, look, what more can you say about it? It is, words can't really describe it, can
It,
they?
it's it, it. I mean, one of the best coming of age stories that in the genre anyway, that I've ever read. It's great, absolutely great.
Yeah,
Love it.
and I like how they're in 221163. Those cameos, right?
Mm-hmm.
When I read it and I saw that he's going back to 1958, I'm like, come on, this has to happen, and
Right.
got knowledge. It was just,
Right.
it was a real moment where you got chills. I'm like, hey guys, it was just brilliant.
But that's when he started tying everything together with his Dark Tower stuff. Like it was like crazy.
Yeah, it's fantastic. Those Easter eggs, when you find them, it's just it's nothing's better. Nothing is better.
Who's an indie writer?
Um, was that Mike Shackle? He was
I don't think
meaning.
no, this is Golinks. This is like a pretty big UK
Oh,
publisher.
Ryan Cahill. Sorry, he meant.
Oh.
Yeah, Ryan Cahill.
Oh,
Now
Ryan
there's a
Cahill.
guy that's making waves at the moment. Isn't he great? He's pretty prolific, isn't he?
I mean, there's someone I'm starting this year. Like I haven't started his stuff, and I bought the first novella and the first novel, and I'm going to start him this year. But yeah, man, people are loving that stuff, and you got to see what the hype is.
Mhm. Oh, the one you talked to, he said.
Oh, I've talked to several indie writers. Have you started reading indie stuff?
Ryan Cahill.
Yeah, have you started reading any indie stuff, Chris?
No, not a great deal, but I would like to get into more of that. Absolutely.
Yeah, I try and do one a month.
Yeah. Oh, you're a good advocate for that. I've noticed that. Yeah.
It's been great. I mean, it's good stuff. I mean, my eyes have been so opened since starting it. Some really great stuff out there.
And coming back to King, do you have a dream adaptation that you want to see remade? Does anything come to mind with what you want to see remade that has already been done back in the 90s and it definitely needs a facelift?
Wow. I mean, not really. The one that hadn't been done, I don't think, and I would love to see is The Talisman. I don't think there's ever been an adaptation of that, has there?
I don't believe so. No. For me, I think it would be Gerald's Game. Not Gerald's Game. Needful Things.
Oh yeah, you're going back to Ed Harris and.
Now I'm in a minority, but I didn't mind that.
Yeah, well, anything Ed Harris is in, I love. I love Ed Harris.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Max von Sydow as Leland Gaunt was fantastic, but
you can't beat that.
It's been 30 years. I think this one needs to be made, and then what they have to do, if they ever remake it, they have to include Ace Merrill. They didn't include Ace Merrill in the original adaptation, and the reason why I want Ace Merrill in it is because I want Kiefer Sutherland cast as the older Ace Merrill because he's in Stand By Me.
Yeah.
As Ace Merrill. How cool would that be?
That would be awesome. That would be awesome. Yeah, absolutely. I had never thought about that, but that'd be great. He'd probably do it too.
He probably would too, yeah. But it's one example of something that needs to be redone. So I would like to see that.
I know you're watching Reacher. You love a good thriller TV show. Did you watch that Kiefer Sutherland, not 24, but the other thriller he did? I think it was on one of the streamers, Peacock or Paramount or something.
Yeah, I didn't quite catch that one. It sort of passed me by, but I must take a look. Absolutely,
it's good. It's really good. I can't think of the name of it right now. Yeah, he's it's hard to explain, but he manipulates for advertising and different things, and he gets involved in some huge conspiracy, and you would enjoy it. If you like a good thriller, it's really fun.
Yeah, I must get onto it. Although I don't watch too much TV at the moment because I opt to read instead. But when I get a bit of spare time, I'm going to have to catch up on some streamers and things like that.
Yeah, I'm down to maybe 2 or 3. I'll watch. Like I get up early with the dogs, and I'll watch like one episode of something before I go to work. But in the evenings, I'm generally reading, yeah, because I try and keep a pace of about 100 pages a day. What do you
Yeah.
try to do?
Yeah, about the same actually. Yeah, if I can. But yeah, sometimes it's not always easy because you have distractions and things like that, and work gets in the way.
Of
With a
course,
book
yeah.
like The Way of Kings, you find that you're looking for all opportunities everywhere to actually just get a couple of pages in. Like if you're doing something around the house, you hide around the corner on your phone and read a couple of pages. Yep, come in, I'll be right there. Or something like that. But yeah, it makes it hard because you're thinking about the book all the time, and you look for every opportunity to get back in the pages. It's just fantastic.
Yeah, I think as soon as you finish this one, you're gonna want to get to the second book quicker than you're thinking. I think the way
Yeah.
this one ends, yeah.
So let's talk about some retro movies and things like that. I mean, what did you were you raised on a steady diet of Chuck Norris and Van Damme like I was? And
No, I watched some of it. I was really into horror when I was growing up. Like for me, it was all about The Thing, John Carpenter's The Thing. I saw pretty much every horror movie from the 80s and 90s I've seen. It was all that was my jam. I mean, I saw some Van Damme and some Chuck Norris.
Poltergeist is a favorite of mine from the 80s. Probably my favorite horror movie ever.
Yeah, yeah. The story is Spielberg had a lot to do with that because he was doing ET like in the same neighborhood.
Yeah, yeah. So fantastic. And what other plans have you got for the channel this year? Are you introducing new segments or anything like that? Or
I would really like to. My main thing that I'd love to branch out into is I would love to maybe talk story, and I'm having the best time like talking to booktubers and authors. But I was thinking I would love to talk story with some people in other mediums, like I've almost got it nailed down to have like a really, really, he's won every award you can imagine that does covers, book covers, artist to come on and talk about how he
that's it.
goes from the book to one image that would tell a story. Maybe different performers, maybe some different story directors on a video game, like just trying to open up different mediums of storytelling.
Yeah,
That's
absolutely.
my goal. Whether I'll be successful or not, I don't know. I'm not 100% sure.
And thoughts on McCammon? Tell me all about that. You've read a few of his, haven't you?
I think I've read every McCammon book there is. I don't think
Yeah.
there's one that I haven't read. As
I tell
opposed to
you
there's
what.
quite a few King I haven't read. I've read every McCammon book.
Yeah, I'm actually due to read another McCammon soon. I've read about 4 of them, and I think one of the most confronting ones and very difficult to read, especially at the start, was Mine.
Oh,
Uh, how
I
bad is she?
I keep telling everybody because it's kind of big on booktube right now, right? Like Boy's Life, Swan Song. You see those more and you're
Yeah,
starting to see a lot of people talk about Matthew Corbett series.
yes,
But if you're just looking for just foot on the accelerator all the way down thriller from beginning to end, and you've got to give a trigger warning for that beginning, and one of
yeah,
the best female villains since Misery, Stephen King.
yeah,
um, you can't beat it, man. You cannot beat
no.
Mine. Like I can't believe that has never been filmed. Can you believe the film that would make?
Yeah, it'd be amazing. I mean, just those first pages. When I reviewed it, I said to people, just have a bit of faith, just get through it. That's all I say because it's just a fantastic story. And Boy's Life made me cry. I mean, that
Oh
was
yeah.
just absolutely amazing. And not many people talk about Blue World either. That is the best single collection of stories I've ever read in my life.
Love it. Love Blue World. Love Blue
I
World.
still think about those stories. The novella itself, Blue World, how 2 stereotypical characters can be so different and change by the end of the story. It's just a fantastic tale, isn't it?
And the cool thing I love about Mine and Blue World to an extent, right? That novella. I don't, I, it's a different world now, man. Like, I don't
Mm.
know if you could totally get away with some of the stuff that
Oh
he
no.
put on paper then, right? Like
Yeah.
it's, I mean, maybe you could, but I mean, that opening in mine is like, that's gut wrenching.
Cool. Yeah. I nearly stopped and thought, hang on, what's going to happen? And
Yeah.
it was fine, but definitely need a trigger warning there. That's for sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
And Stinger was fantastic. That was a good one.
Great invasion story, right? Like, just,
Yeah,
I mean, that would make a great flick too. I mean, if you think about how well Alien and Predator's done, like, can you imagine putting Stinger on film? Like,
yeah,
he transcends. He's such a different writer. Then if you get to the Matthew Corbett stuff and the style he incorporates with like kind of a neo-Dickensian way with language and telling those stories back in the early or late 1600s, early 1700s in the colonies, like, who the heck is this? Like, where did he get that gear? Like, I think the guy's amazing. I'm very tempted when this last Matthew Corbett book comes out. I know he does signings in his little bookstore, in his little near where he lives in Alabama, and I'm really tempted to drive down there and try and meet him.
yeah. Well, it's definitely not too far from you. You're in South Carolina, is that right? South
North
Carolina.
Carolina. So yeah,
North
not too. I could make it. I can make it.
That'd be exciting. Yeah.
Yeah.
And our Swan Song was absolutely fantastic as well. There are various points in there that I teared up as well. It just,
Yeah, Britain. If you, I don't know what to say to you, man, to fully get you on board like that. For me, Swan Song, like The Stand, is one of my favorite Stephen. I mean, it's probably my number one Stephen King book, right? The Stand. I love it.
yeah,
I think Swan Song may do it better.
yeah,
Like, I honestly think it might, as far as just pathos and character and emotionality and just a journey, man. By the end, you will just be wrenched out. Your insides are just twisted. Like, it is so good. Like, you have to read that book.
yeah. Awesome. So what are some of the releases you're looking forward to this year? Do you have many on your list?
Yeah, I've got a pretty good list. What did I say? I mean, the next one, I've got an advanced reader copy of Book of Love by Kelly Link. This is her first full-size novel. She usually only does short stories. I've got some T. I'm going to do T. Kingfisher this year. I've never read any of her, and she's I think she's a North Carolina writer, so I'm interested. If she's got a follow-up coming out. What Feast at Night, Angel of Indian Lake, Stephen Graham Jones, the last of the Indian Lake trilogy. I really want to do that. There's a new writer, Genova Demova, Foul Days. I want to do that. Her first book, Dragon and Winter, the Kagan the Damned, third of the trilogy. I have to read the second book.
I've actually bought that, and I'm waiting for that to come.
Have you read the first Kagan the Damned?
No, that's the one that I bought it. Sorry, yeah, I ordered the first one. So I'm going to jump on that train this year.
Oh, I'm telling you, it's old school. It's old school sword and sorcery, man. That Robert Howard, Michael Moorcock, that feel. I think it's a lot of fun. I enjoyed it.
I'm looking forward to it. He released Jonathan Maybury released a collection recently too, Long Past Midnight, I think it was.
Can't remember what it's. Yeah, that dude is prolific. It is prolific. Yeah, absolutely. As soon as you start reading Kagan, Britton, let me know. He is prolific, and he edits weird tales. He comes. I mean, counting short stories, like he had a stack. It was like that from the desk of everything he had come out this year. Like it's crazy.
And he's been around for a while too, hasn't he?
Oh yeah. Decades. Like, have you tried the Joe Ledger series? You would probably like that.
I'm going to write that one down actually because, I've heard good things about that one.
It's a thriller, and think about if you had like this SEAL Team 6 level special ops group, and they're working for kind of a super secret government branch that deals with things that are outside. And he has so much research. Like the first book is called Patient Zero, is the first book in this series. And there's so much research into prions and viruses and things. Like, you will absolutely believe these terrorists have created zombies. Like, you will totally buy in. And it's just like this one spec ops team that has to go in and shut everything down. And this is just, the pace is breakneck. It is unstoppable as a thriller. And it has all those supernatural elements, but based in his research of science. It's a fun read.
Wow. And speaking of pacing, we have an author here in Australia called Matthew Riley. Have you heard of him?
Matthew Riley. No, I don't think so.
Yeah, he actually writes quite a few different things, but he's most renowned for his archaeological thriller, the Seven Ancient Wonders, the Jack West Jr. series. So if you want pacing, it's probably some of the most fast-paced books you could ever read. And he's written a whole series of 7 books on that one, and he's written about a Marine as well called Shane Schofield, which there's a few books in that series as well. But then he's also branched out a little bit and done some standalone historical fiction as well, if you're into that. One book that was really great last year was Mr. Einstein's Secretary. If you chase that one up, that is a fantastic story across World War II, and how one woman's strength and heroics gets her through some harrowing experiences. It's just fantastic.
Oh, that sounds amazing. Einstein's Secretary. And what's the first book in the other series you were talking about? The Seven
Ancient Wonders.
7 H1. Okay, I will add both those to my list.
You can't go wrong. Yeah.
I was thinking Riley Sager. I've heard that name a lot.
Oh, he's fantastic. I read Home Before Dark, and that was that was a highlight for me last year as well, because I always like to try different authors. I tried Grady Hendrix as well. My Best Friend's Exorcism, that was fantastic. But Home Before Dark is great because it won my best twist category, because he not only did a twist towards the end, but he did a second one, which absolutely blew me away. And his writing style is very engaging. The story was told from 2 points of view. It was a story within a story. With the father's book, he wrote about experiences in the house. And then the other point of view was from the main character's point of view on how she's dealing with the fallout in present day when she is in the house. But not everything is as it seems. And Riley Sager's got another one coming out this year, After Midnight or something like that. I can't remember the title, but you won't be disappointed if you dive in.
Yeah, Michael right there is Riley Sager is awesome. He's been pushing Riley Sager on me, and I bought my first one. It's on the stack, Michael. It is on the stack. It's coming up, and it's the one he had come out last year, I think. I can't even remember the title. It's got like a haunted house on a cliff with a phone. I can't even remember the title, but I'm determined to get to it like pretty quickly, like early this year.
I with Grady Hendrix in particular,
only one left.
Only
one left.
With Grady Hendrix.
You got to do this one next, man.
Oh yeah.
I think I've read almost everything Hendrix has done.
I think I've got the final girls coming in my orders as well. So that's
pretty fun.
But with My Best Friend's Exorcism, I had a blast with that. 1982. I mean, it's a good year.
It has such a great heart, right? Like the time capsule he pulls off with the music, and I just remember, that was my day, man. Like, I was in the middle of high school in 1982. So it was just such a great time capsule, and it had such a great heart. His stuff always has such a great heart. Wonderful sense of humor running through it. There's a sense of irreverence that helps suspend your disbelief, because if you were in the middle of this, you would be going, but come on. But that irreverence helps you buy in. Oh, my dad graduated in 80. You're making me feel old, Britton. So I graduated in '84. So, but yo, you won't go wrong with Grady Hendrix, man. Every book is a fun ride. You're
And
really
that's
gonna
just,
love it.
and that's just building on what I was saying before about experiencing new authors and having a streak of fantastic reads all in a row. I mean, I've had a great time discovering these people, and I love branching out because it is a bit of a leap of faith. But then I always try to do a bit of research before I dive in as well. I'll go on Goodreads and find out what people are thinking, and watch the booktubers, because they're
Yeah.
very influential to me as well. But especially your enthusiasm. I bought Kagan the Dam because of your review and a few others. So based on your recommendation, I can't really go wrong. So
Oh, I can't wait to hear what you think. It is brutal. It is brutal. Like the Son of the Poison Rose is no joke. Like it is brutal. I can't wait to pick up. I think book 2 is called The Son of the Poison Rose. I need to pick that up pretty quick before book 3 comes out. I don't think book 3 comes out until August, so I got a little bit of time.
yeah, good. Okay.
I'll be your book uncle. Isn't this the best time of the year though, Chris? Because everyone has their top 10 list out. It's like I've
Yep.
just been like nonstop every
Yeah.
day. I'll watch 4 or 5 videos with a tablet and go, I got to get that. I got to get that. I got to get that.
Yeah, it's just fantastic. It is a good time, and just the anticipation of what the year's going to bring. And yeah, it's never been a good time to be a reader.
Oh,
I reckon.
it's great, man. I'm so happy to get back. It has enriched my life amazingly to be back and to have people to talk about that love story as much as I do. It makes me excited to get up in the morning. Like all day today is like, I can't wait to talk to Chris, man. I
Yeah,
cannot wait. So
yeah.
what's some of your top ones coming out this year that you can't wait to pick up?
Okay, so it's a fair few in the thriller genre. Obviously, we've got Stephen King. I've got that Riley Sager one. What else have I got? Just trying to think now, because I did a video about them. So
I bet you've done the Gray Man books, right?
oh, I know of them. Yeah,
Okay.
there are a couple of really good books coming out in the Tom Clancy books, the Jack Ryan series. Have you read any of those?
I have not. I haven't watched this last season. I've watched the other ones. I love some of the movies, but I mean, I think that's why you'll really like Joe Ledger, because it reads a lot like Clancy. Like
Yeah.
they get into the technical aspects of warfare. I really think you'll enjoy that series, but I haven't got into it yet.
Yeah, and with the Jack Ryan verse, there's been a whole raft of contributing writers since Tom Clancy's passing, and Don Bentley is one who's finishing up, which I've really enjoyed his contributions. But there are new authors coming on board. The next book that I'm really anticipating is called Act of Defiance, and it's written by Andrews and Wilson. Who are a really good writing duo who have written their own series called Tier 1. So military thrillers, and I'm excited with how the series is going, because the arc of Jack Ryan Jr., Jack Ryan's son, has been absolutely incredible on what he's done, and I think this next book, Act of Defiance, is about Jack Ryan, President Ryan's youngest daughter, being in military intelligence or naval intelligence, getting rolled up into some trouble. So
Oh wow.
yeah, good times ahead. And look, I am looking forward to cautiously a couple of more James Patterson series. There's the Private series, and there's the Detective Michael Bennett ones. I'm not sure if you've heard of those ones, but I've had a bit of a rant on the channel about the last last book of each series.
Yeah, I heard. I think I saw that. You said you might drop the series, right? Like if it's another.
Yeah, so for a thriller lover like me, it's a pretty big thing, because my main argument was, don't make characters go backwards and down the stakes. You have to up the stakes, man. You have
Right.
to take Michael Bennett to the edge, like he did in previous books. And I'm cautiously optimistic, but yeah, I'm dead serious. If they are a no hitter, then I won't be continuing the series, which sounds pretty huge, but it's true.
So I love the Reacher show. Should I give that series a try? Like, should I go back to the first book or?
Most definitely, you'll love it.
Really?
Absolutely. It's my second favorite series of all time. My first favorite series is Jack Ryan, but all the books are fantastic. He just doesn't. If someone is in trouble and he's just not going to stand for that, he'll just you don't want to cross him because the
Yeah.
books are so much better than the series. Although the series is excellent, but you'd start with Killing Floor, and you can read them pretty much in any order, apart from a couple of the later books with Never Go Back and Worth Dying For. There's a 3-book story arc there, but you can pretty much start anywhere. And the funny thing is, Lee Child's finished and he's handed the reins over to his brother. And I've debated that on the channel as well, because there's been a bit of a rift among the fan base. Because the latest collaboration books, they did 4 collaborations together before Andrew's going out on his own. And the fans have said, no, don't like the series anymore. And I've pretty much defended Andrew Child, Lee's brother, saying, give the man a go. He's doing a good job. I like his contributions, but I say to people, do you want to read Reacher ever again, or do you just want Reacher to stop altogether? People are expecting the same thing, but a writer's voice is like a fingerprint.
It's never going to change. Yeah,
never going to be the same.
It'll definitely have to change.
Yeah, and I'll take Reacher any way I can get him to read him for a long time to come.
Yeah. So. See, I think I'm telling you, Repairman Jack, you'll like that too. That he's a guy in New York, and if you get into a bit of trouble, like you have, say you were in a bad way and you had to borrow some money from like some wise guys because the bank wouldn't help you out, and now the wise guys are really pushing down on you. So you can't go to regular cops or anything. Like Repairman Jack, if you put an ad in, if you answer an ad in the paper, he'll fix it for you.
Oh my God,
that's how he repairs things. And then he starts getting embroiled in these cases, and he starts to find out that he is the last knight errant in a long line that is between him and the darkness that is creeping into this world. And he starts to, through book after book after book, he'll have a case, just someone coming to him asking for help, and he'll get wrapped up in these things and start to find out that it's like, oh, there's an entire secret history to the world we knew nothing about, and he's the only man that can draw a line and stand between the darkness coming.
Wow, how many books are in this series? There are a few, aren't there?
Now I'm thinking like 13, 14, but it's like, no, they're like thrillers. You will read it in 3 days. And it reads like a case book. Like it'll start, every chapter is a day. Like the case starts Monday and the next chapter is Tuesday, and I mean, you'll blaze through it. You'll absolutely blaze through it.
I can feel my wallet getting lighter.
That's what we do, Chris.
I know, right? Yeah, no, I'll be getting behind that, and that sounds really, really intriguing. Actually, yeah, can't wait. So I'll be this afternoon. I'll be going on Amazon and taking a look, and maybe click a few buttons.
Yeah. Oh, I'll be doing the same.
Yeah. Oh, Richard Stark. I haven't heard of that one. I'll have to write that one down.
Yeah. See.
Oh, is this a good thing or not for my wallet? But the good thing is, I mean, with my day job, there's a bit of a perk there where you can have rewards points, and you go on and redeem those, and you can get vouchers and things like that. So that's always good as well. But
that's, you know what, that's exactly how I do it with my job. It's like, oh, you hit these numbers, we're going to give you a gift card or something here or there, and it's like, that's what I use. That's what I use to buy. Is like, oh, I'll stop. I'm hitting numbers. I'm going to stock up.
Yeah. Wow. So
are you a comics reader?
Not so much. No, I did read a little bit of Batman there for a little while. I had Batman Eternal. I was collecting those, and they weren't too bad, but wouldn't mind getting into a bit more of it, actually. Probably not so much the individual issues, because if you want to read something like The Walking Dead, it's very hard to collect now. But I've been getting into a bit of manga, actually, which has been
something
very good.
I have not done that yet. I have not
Yeah,
done
I
that yet.
mean, I orbited around Death Note for years and years and years, and I splurged and went out and bought all the volumes, and I'm almost halfway through it, and it is just an absolute treat.
Yeah.
Getting used to reading from right to left is a bit different, but there are really good manga out there. I've started Vinland Saga, which is a fantastic series. What draws me to a decent manga is the cover art, and the story has to be really good. And the cover art in Vinland Saga is, just the internal artwork is absolutely incredible. And Death Note, just the story, it's just very, very smart, and they're very quick as well. You can mow through them in no time flat. And things like Attack on Titan I'd like to read, and the Drifting Classroom is an old 1970s manga I wouldn't mind looking into. But
Yeah, my son has been telling me Attack on Titan is really good.
Yeah.
And I mean, I love comics. I read comics all my life. Like I have no excuse. I mean, I've got no excuse for not starting yet. I just haven't done it. But
Yeah. Are you thinking of doing a bit more about comics on the channel?
I always cover when I read comics the way I'm doing comics now, and I've Batman is my all time,
Yeah.
But I don't currently buy like the monthly issues that come out. For the same reason I kind of backed off of Dean Koontz for a while, because you start to see stories like recycled and come back, and we're going to relaunch and start over, and it's like I'm going to pull back for a while. So I try and find like kind of passion projects for writers that maybe at like not Marvel or DC, but at some smaller companies. Like this was one of my top reads of last year, World Tree by James Tinian IV. And he also did Nice House on the Lake, which was one of my top reads of last year. And I mean, this is a great like horror thriller mystery. It's like people start to realize it's bizarre. I can't even go into it, but it's like people start to realize if you're on the internet metaphysically bumps up against another dimension, that if you spend enough time going down the rabbit hole on the internet, they can start coming back the other way and co-opt you. And just what happens to the world as more and more of this starts to happen, and who finds out about it and how they're going to try and stop it. And but it's wild. It's a story that you wouldn't necessarily see from a major label, but Image Comics is all about letting a creator spread their wings and do like different stuff. So I still try and find stuff like that. Like I'm collecting an 8-issue story right now by Garth Ennis, who's one of my favorite comics writer. And as soon as I get all 8 issues, I'll read them all through at one time, and then I'll cover that on the channel. So I still do cover stuff. I'm just not doing the monthly Batman or Daredevil or my favorite characters anymore, because there's a new writer on Daredevil, and I've been buying it every month. So when I get like the first 6 to 8 issues, I'll read all those and see if I want to keep reading it or not. But I don't foresee a time I'll ever not be buying comics. I can't stop.
One series I wouldn't mind getting into, and it's a massive series, is Hellblazer. Have you read Hellblazer?
Oh, talk to Britton about Hellblazer. I have never started Hellblazer, but he loves it. He absolutely loves it.
Oh, wow. Savage Sword of Conan.
Oh, that's cool. Who's doing that?
I'm not quite sure, but
maybe the Bookish Bryants can tell us.
Oh yeah, that'd be Scott and Becky, yeah. But there's other black and white magazines as well that I've been looking into at the moment. The old ones, the Fear magazine and things like that. They're making a resurgence as well. And I think Scott has actually got a few of those. He did a really good book haul on those as well. But yeah, it's that sounds intriguing actually. The Sword of Conan, Savage Sword of Conan. I actually read some of Robert E. Howard's short stories. I think it was last year or the year before, which were fantastic. I mean, the Conan stories, from what I read, they haven't really dated. It could be written today, and you'd think it was written only recently. But Titan Comics, here we go.
Yeah, I will
That,
be talking to my comic store about that tomorrow or Monday.
very good. Did you ever read Richard Lehman at all back in the day?
He's another one that has been recommended to me, and he's on my wish list. Traveling Vampires show, something like that. But I
Yeah,
haven't read a Richard Lehman. I haven't read a
yeah,
Richard Lehman.
he's different, and some people would call it trash today because there's a lot of graphic things in it, and things like he's written about 30 or 40 books, and it's sad that he actually passed away in 2001 because would have liked to have seen how his writing matured over time as well. But there's some cracking reads in there. Body Rides is a standout for me, which
Body
is
Rides,
really
okay.
good. And the Beast House trilogy as well. But you'll be surprised at how graphic it actually is.
Yeah.
I'd be interested to hear your thoughts on that when you actually get to it.
I mean, that doesn't, I don't know, that doesn't bother me. Like I came up during splatterpunk in the 80s and 90s, so buckets of blood and gore don't tend to turn me off.
Very good. And tell me about I'll switch to movies for a minute. I really want to hear your take on Top Gun Maverick, changing the subject completely. Tell me your thoughts on that.
Okay. You know what? It's Top Gun Maverick. It's a Snicker bar, isn't it? Like, I really enjoyed it while I was in the theater. Like, I was really, like, you open that and it's like, oh God, that is so good. I love Snicker bars. And then I walked down to the theater and it was like 20, 30 minutes later. And it's like, that was really just a remake of the first movie, kind of, wasn't it? Like, I mean, I don't know if they ever did if they did anything new, but it was so much nostalgia. I loved it anyway. I mean, and for me, there's nothing wrong with a Snicker bar. Every time I stop to get gas, I'm going to go in and get one. I do love them. And I had a great time with Top Gun. But after I walked away, it's like, would I say it was a great movie? I don't know if I'd say it was a great movie, but I loved it while I was watching it.
Yeah, fantastic. Yeah, I absolutely loved it. Obviously cried a few times myself, but
I mean, that moment when he saw Iceman, I mean, that was pretty. I might have had a man tear at that point for sure.
But especially at the end as well, because that the relationship between Goose's son and Maverick at the end just came full circle. It was just really, really satisfying.
Yeah.
But, I think the highlight of the movie for me that gave me chills was when the air boss grounded him and he goes into the class and says, look, we're going to change the time and that sort of thing. And then you hear this bleep, 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 and like, who's that? And Maverick's going at himself and he's going, I'm going to reduce the time. How's that?
Yeah.
This is how it's done. This is how you lead by example. And instantly, the class has his respect. And one of the people don't talk about this as well, and I'm probably reading too much into it, but you have the 3-star admiral, and then you have Warlock, the 2-star admiral, and you find that Warlock has to toe the line a little bit because he is lesser in rank, and you can see when Maverick pulls off the test that he actually sitting there and he's going like that, because he can't say too much because of his rank.
Yeah,
it's just all those little subtle undertones that throughout the movie.
You can't buck the trend, right? You can't. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I loved it. Do you remember watching the first one?
Yeah. It was just something else, wasn't it?
I mean, I remember that like it was yesterday. I mean, that was, wow. Those were.
I mean, with Top Gun Maverick, they did the homage to aviation and the scenes on the aircraft carrier. It was just fantastic, and obviously, Danger Zone was redone, but I think I can't even think of how many times I replayed the start of the original Top Gun with the turbines, and if you had home theater at the time, you'd shake the walls and.
Oh yeah. Yeah, if you had that home subwoofer, you would crank that one up, test the system.
And you'd paraphrase the movie and quote it all the time. And
oh, yeah. Still
I
do.
mean, James Tolkien had such a small role in that, but wasn't he great?
Everybody was great.
Mm.
Everybody was great. I mean, even, I mean, even the second movie, I did, like I say, when I was in the theater, I loved it. My wife didn't go with me, and I came home and she said, "How was it?" And it was like, I think they remade the same movie, but I didn't care. Like, it was still, it was still a great ride while I was watching it.
Yeah, yeah. Took my wife along to see it as well for the first time, and she absolutely loved it. It was just, yeah, it was a ride, that's for sure.
What was
Mm.
your top movie of last year, Chris?
Oh, last year. Just trying to think now. I didn't get to the pictures too much.
Yeah, it'd be hard for me to even think of one.
Yeah, because I don't tend to watch many. Yeah, nothing comes to mind at the moment, but yeah, Top Gun was
We,
obviously my favorite of 2022.
we got
But
to get to we got to get to the theater more.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's an experience, that's for sure. Yeah,
You're gonna
but
go
no,
see? I'll be there for Dune this year. I'll definitely do
yeah,
that one.
you like the first part? I haven't seen it yet.
Oh, you haven't seen it yet? Oh, it's. Have you read the book?
Uh no, I haven't. It's on my list for this year. It's a bucket list read
Yeah,
for me.
yeah. I
Yeah,
would say you have to read the book, and you will love the film
yeah,
because there's no way to get everything from the book into 2 to 3 hours, right?
yeah,
So if you've read the book, you can fill in so many of the holes of what's going on, and I just think you appreciate it more. But it was such a great adaptation. They did a really amazing job.
yeah, yeah. And the same chap who plays the main character in June, he did Wonka as well. Have you seen that yet?
I have not, but I hear it's making all the money in the world. So
I know, despite the fact they've got Hugh Grant as an Oompa Loompa. I mean, Jesus.
yeah, I guess. Yeah, for me, Gene Wilder will always be Wonka.
Yeah, absolutely. We grew up with that stuff. It's
Yeah.
if it comes on the TV, even to this day, I'll give it a watch. In fact, it was on the other week, and gave it a watch. And some parts are a bit painful, but
But there are some songs I just have to watch, right? Like, I mean, you just have, oh, he's about to sing that song. I got to watch it. The Blues
yeah,
Brothers, come on. Oh, the Warriors. I remember when I first saw the
the
Warriors in the
Warriors.
theater.
Wow. Oh wow. Yeah. Do you know what? One of my earliest memories was when I was growing up in the early 80s. We never had our own VCR, and my older brother went to the video store and he brought home, you can actually rent the VCR machine.
Oh,
And
yeah.
he rented a couple of movies as well. And I remember it was such a momentous occasion in our household that I got to stay up late. And I got exposed to, I think one of the first ones they put on was First Blood. So,
Oh, yeah. Oh,
it was a
that's,
grainy picture. It starts with Rambo walking down the road. I'm like, oh my God. And a movie like that just instills in you a lifelong love of movies. It's the spark right there, isn't it?
yeah. I remember
Yeah.
Rambo. I mean, all my friends had seen Rocky, right?
Mm.
And I had never seen a Rocky movie. And they were doing um, 1, 2, and 3, a triple feature.
Oh,
And
wow.
my friends were like, we were in high school, and my friends were like, "You've never seen? Come, you've got to see this." And I mean, I was just blown away to watch all three of them together like that. Like, oh wow, it was amazing.
Mm. Oh, fantastic films. Bill Conti is one of my favorite composers ever. He's renowned for those violins, man. The Karate Kid.
Yeah.
He did that. It just puts you there, doesn't it? And
Mm-hmm.
what's your favorite Rocky movie?
Oh my god,
It's a hard one, isn't it?
I gotta go the first one, man. Like, just want to
Mm.
go the distance. I just want to go the distance. I just
Yeah,
don't want to. I just don't want to be one of those guys in the neighborhood. I just want to go the distance. And it's like that was. That was just great. I just absolutely love that about that movie because I could buy it. Maybe he's not going to knock out the champ, but it's like I'll root for him to go the distance. I could see it.
yeah. Yeah, the only man who actually gives him a good run. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
fantastic. I find it really hard to separate all the films, but an unpopular opinion of mine is I have a soft spot for Rocky Five because it explores um, those regrets and how you can go back and you can relive your dreams through a new fighter and things like that, and start winning again, because he does hit rock bottom. But then Rocky number six is absolutely fantastic as well, because he gets into the ring one more time, but then the continuity, you're looking at Adrian's died and how that affects him emotionally, and where he's at in his life. And I cry numerous times through that, because he's being so wistful and nostalgic and doing the tour with Paulie. And Paulie's
Mm-hmm.
like, he's dragging Paulie along, and Paulie's like, I don't want to do this anymore, because every time he does it, they're bad memories for Paulie, because how he treated Adrian, and he's having to relive those demons. But it just, yeah, I think he did a really good job with that. But
Yeah, I mean, and the characters are so rich, right? I mean, dealing with regret and guilt, and like it's just great humane themes. Even like the Michael B. Jordan films that he was in, and or like this last one, Rocky, like that. When he's just talking to his son about it's not how hard you can hit,
oh
it's
man,
how
you get
hard
chills, don't
it's
you?
how
Yeah,
hard you can get hit and keep coming. And it's like
that's it.
you know
That's
what
just
that
so true, isn't it?
I absolutely love that. I love that monologue. That's my dad told me the same kind of stuff when I was growing up, and just to see it reflected in iconography 40 feet tall like that, it's just a moment.
It is, yeah, yeah. But he's not doing too much now, Sylvester Stallone. I don't think. I think he's writing a new book. He was going to write a new book, because he did release an autobiography in the '80s, and I think we need another one, don't we?
Yeah. I think I just watched that Netflix movie that about him. Like he did a kind of autobiography movie,
Yeah, he did. It
and
was great, wasn't it?
yeah, it was really interesting, man. That guy. I mean, when you think about, I mean, you can't take it away from him. He absolutely did it for himself. Like I spent a lot of time in LA, and he stuck to his guns, and he built his own career and did it himself, probably when no one was ever going to give it to him.
Yeah,
So
that's it.
everything that he ever gets is fair play in my book, because he made it happen.
Yeah, and I mean the roles he played. I mean, I reckon he'd be tired now because the physicality he brought to his roles. I mean, it's not just Rocky getting in condition for that. He was saying in an interview when he was on the set of Demolition Man that when he was making Cliffhanger, he had to build muscles where he hadn't had them before, right? Like even in the fingertips and things like that, and how ripped his shoulders were, and that sort of thing in the opening scene. I mean, man, that's commitment, isn't it? And
That's crazy.
how
It's
is
a
he not
different.
just?
It's different, man. It's different. I think Marvel changed the game in a lot of ways. How you have to be physically imposing to do those kind of flicks. It didn't have to be that way. Tulsa King was a good show. I dug
Yeah,
that show.
yeah, I haven't watched that yet, but
Oh, you
I'll
got
just
to
catch.
check that out.
I'll catch up on
That
a
is
couple
a
of these comments here. But yeah, it's Bill Conti, right? The
yeah.
music
Oh man, yeah,
strikes
no.
the
You hear
chord.
you hear that you hear that first note, and it's like I'm a goner. I'm with Michael.
Yeah, top 10 top 10 all time film for me. Yep, Scott, definitely. And yeah, I like that too. Let's have a look here. What else have we got? Yeah, the
Tulsa King.
Tulsa. That's it. Yeah, and yeah, Copland was a good one. Actually, it was a different role for him. He had to put on a little bit of weight for that, and the corrupt detectives who he looked up to as his idols, when he discovers their how they wrought the system and things like that, the conflict he had: do I actually go after them, or do I just say
Yeah.
nothing? And you know he's a sheriff, and he can't get onto the police force because of his ear problems. And I thought that was a pretty good story as well, one of his really good roles.
Yeah,
But
I would totally agree with that. He
yeah,
was I don't yeah, he was like Britton said, held his own with De Niro, Liotta, and Keitel. That's a That's not an easy order, man.
Yeah, it's a pretty big cast, isn't it?
That's pretty
Yeah,
stacked, right?
yeah. Do you have any other favorite standalone movies that Stallone did that stick with you?
Standalone. I love the Rocky flicks, the Rambo flicks. I haven't seen any of the replacements.
Yeah.
I've fallen out of movies. It's a young man's game. I mean, I used to
Oh, it is.
see,
Yeah.
right? I used to go to the theater and see at least one a week. Like I mean, to the theater. I would go to the theater at least once a week, sometimes 2 or 3 times.
Mm.
And now I'll see maybe 2 or 3 movies a year. I think
Yeah.
streaming has impacted my life, and so
It definitely has. Yeah. I
yeah.
mean, a couple of the films Stallone's done for me, things like The Specialist and Assassins was very good as well. But yeah, his body of work is just incredible, isn't it?
Oh, that's that's old school. That's a movie star. That's old school. I don't know. I'm not sure they make it like that anymore.
Mhm. Yeah. All right. Well, very good. Yeah, I guess that might just about do it. I reckon I've run out of things to ask you apart from some rapid fire questions if you're up for it.
Shoot.
All right, let's have a look and see what we've got here. Let's see. Okay, there's just a few here. Paperback or hardback?
Hardback.
Tea or coffee?
Oh my God. Diet Dr. Pepper.
Well, it's caffeine, isn't it?
Yeah, every morning that's how I get my caffeine, Diet Dr. Pepper. My wife is a serious tea drinker, but I just can't get into it.
Yeah. Fantasy or horror?
Wow. When I was younger, horror. I've got to go fantasy has been my go-to pick a choice.
Cable or streaming?
Streaming.
Yep. Live theater or movie?
Live theater.
Leader or follower?
Wow, that's a tough one.
Mm-hmm.
I think I'm a follower, but I've always dreamed of being a leader. I'm going to try. I mean, I think I'm definitely a follower, but I mean, you have those delusions about yourself. I'll go that far. I'm delusional.
All right. New clothes or new phone?
New books. I mean, I'm not a clothes guy. I mean, I'm a t-shirt and jeans guy. Like in that, I never got past that. Right.
Yep.
And phones. I've become my dad, Chris. Like, remember, you might. I bet you relate to this. I would make fun of my dad mercilessly because just 12 would blink on the VCR and he didn't know how to fix it.
Yeah.
And I don't know how my phone works. I can't make stuff. I have to get my kid to do stuff for me all the time. So I'm not excited about getting a new phone because I don't even know what they do anymore.
Well, something my wife mentioned to me just yesterday, actually, our eldest son is just about turning 17 this month or next month. And she says to me, do you realize that when Matt, in about 18 months, Matt's going to be the same age I was when I met you? And I'm like, oh, don't do that. Don't do that. That's just, I don't need to feel old. But, my son is actually, I come into his room and see what he's up to on his computer and say, what are you up to? And I look at his screen. And he's clacking away at the keyboard and he's writing all this code.
Yeah.
What are you doing? For Roblox and stuff like that.
I mean, my kid will be 24 this year. And it's like he does, I don't know what he does. I don't know how he does it. It's like he edits everything for the channel and does it's like I'm just a talking face hole. Like he does everything. All that's beyond me.
And if you discover something new, you'll say, hey, look at this. I've found this out. And then he's like, oh yeah, whatever, Dad. That's so 2018. So you're constantly having you're being made aware of your own mortality and your aging, and it seemed like only yesterday I was in my 20s and feeling immortal. It's
The weird thing is that I still feel that way. Like that's where I get into trouble because
Yeah.
I think like I still feel like, oh, I can do that. I can, no problem. I'll jump up on that ladder and do that. And then
Okay.
the next thing you know, I'm stove up for 3 weeks. Like I shouldn't have done that. I can't do that. But in my mind, I
Yeah,
got it. I got
yeah,
this.
you
I
want to
got
do
this.
it. Yeah,
Oh,
like you
come on.
see kids on their BMXs getting good air, and I'm like, I wonder if I could still do that. No, maybe not.
No. I mean, I do a lot of riding bikes. I do mountain bike riding and road riding and stuff. And it's like I make sure both tires stay on the ground at all times. I never try and get air anymore.
All right, here's a couple more. Big party or small gathering?
Oh, small gathering.
Yep, definitely.
Yeah.
Sweater or hoodie?
Hoodie.
Postcard or souvenir?
Souvenir.
Hmm. Headphones or speakers?
Wow, I go headphones. I'll say
Yep.
headphones.
Save or spend?
Oh, spend. That's my yeah.
That's what I'll be doing this afternoon based on those recommendations.
I
So
mean, you got to. You got to. Life's too short, man.
that's it. That's it. iOS or Android?
Um I'm an Apple guy.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah,
People are either
because
one or
it's
the other, aren't
I
they?
mean,
Yeah.
for me, it's just easier to. I mean, they cater to my idiocy of technology, so I just stay with them.
Mhm. And one last question as well, I'm curious about because you articulate yourself so well, where you give descriptions of things in your videos, which is really, really detailed. Are you a writer yourself? Do you write?
Oh well, first, thank you very much. I mean, no, I'm not a writer. I was I was an actor for a lot of years. I built a theater company, and so I
Oh,
mean, I've done language, and I've done a lot with that. Um, but I was able to do that, and I was able to do that art form because um, there was a director and a bunch of people waiting for me down at the theater, and if I didn't show up, I'd be in trouble.
oh, right.
To have the discipline to just sit down in a chair and create every day, I don't think I'd have that kind of discipline. If I could figure out, yeah, right, Michael's spot on with me. If I could figure out a way to write and make it a collaborative where people are counting on me and I knew I had to be somewhere at a certain time and we were working together like theater used to be, I could maybe do it, but just on my own to find the chair and pump out words, I don't think I could make that happen.
It'd be a pretty tough gig, I can imagine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you ever tried it?
Yeah, I back in 2005, a really funny story. I actually woke up one morning and I felt, for no reason at all, it came from out of nowhere. I think I'd like to try and write a story and wrote something out. And then I thought, do I have anything here? Is there any potential? So I went into a short story writing course and passed that and got a few things, few short stories published and things like that. And I thought, oh,
Wow.
maybe I can do this. But then when life gets in the way, it's sort of taken a back seat. And I haven't written anything for a little while. But there was one story called Hugo's Hugo Man of a Thousand Faces, based on this Hugo toy from the 80s. Do you remember that bald thing where you used to stick the makeup on and the mustache and all that sort of stuff? Well,
Yep.
based on that toy, how it came alive and things like that, and it got published 3 times. But
Wow.
then the creative fire fizzled out a little bit. And I wrote a fair bit of microfiction where stories were 120 words or less, which is pretty challenging to do, but haven't written anything in over 10 years because
Oh man.
with my day job, I type every day. And
Yeah.
the last thing I want to do when I finish work is sit at the keyboard, which makes it tough. But in my retirement, yeah, look, I reckon I can see myself churning out a book or two.
Oh, that
So,
would be so cool, man. Well, that's awesome, Chris. That's amazing. Yeah, like I say, I couldn't. I don't think I have the discipline to do it. I would always find something,
yeah.
you know. I would find something that would draw my attention. It's got to be the hardest thing to have that discipline to sit down and create, because I found anyway when I was doing theater, like it's hard work, man. It's hard. It's
Yeah.
because you can't get it right and it drives you crazy and it's gut wrenching, right? And it's just a tough road to hoe. And it's like, just to do it on your own, if no one's waiting for you, like I had to be at rehearsal a certain time or my ass would be in trouble. If it was just me, I don't think I could put myself through that. Fair play to you, man. That's awesome. Well, I hope when you retire, you get the juices flowing again.
Yeah, it'd be good. Yeah. Well, John, I have to thank you so much for coming on the channel. I've enjoyed this a lot, and you are my first of many guests. Hopefully, I'm planning on doing a lot of this this year, because it's always good to just network yourself and reach out to people. And I started my own Booktube channel because of Mike, and back in when COVID hit, it was a very lonely time because you're housebound, and I thought, well, I have some things to say about books as well. And I discovered Malazan Book of the Fallen when I first watched Mike. And I think that's on your list this year, isn't it?
Yeah. After I finished Cosmere, either that or Elderlings, one of the two. I haven't decided. I might put it up for a vote. We'll see.
Yeah. But no, it's been an absolute pleasure. I'm looking forward to seeing more of your content because, I love the way you articulate yourself and the excitement. If you get worked up about a book, it's going to ignite my enthusiasm and go and buy the thing. So shopping for me this afternoon.
Yeah, this is the whole point I did this, and a perfect example of what you're talking about, because you start to get a little bit older in the tooth where your wife's telling you, we're the age that, he's the age of when we met. You start getting up there, or this is my experience anyway. You start getting up there and you start looking around. It's like, man, what happened to all my friends? Like, you built a job, you built a family, you got responsibilities, but it's like the most important thing when I was younger was my friends and who I was running with. And it's like, that starts to fade and go away. And, when I found Booktube, it's like, to be able to just talk with somebody about stuff that I've loved and stuff that I've read, and to make new friends, this is the whole point of it for me. So it's an absolute thrill for me to be here.
Yeah. Fantastic. Well, I'm looking forward to more of your content, and I'll be sure to let you know what I thought of this book, because this will be this afternoon's reading as well, because I don't have much planned. So I'll be in the chair reading this book.
All right. Well, I know what you'll think, because I'll be watching your content, my brother.
Excellent. Thank you so much again, John. And we must do it again sometime.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, buy Rickwire watch, Chris. Michael called it.
Yes. Yep.
There's an indie. You won't go wrong with that one. Absolutely.
Yep. I've been looking at that, and the series looks actually pretty good. So that is on my watch list as well. Yeah.
Yep.
Definitely.
I'll be picking up book 2. I'll pick up book 2 next month.
Yeah. Can't wait to hear your thoughts on that one, because I did see your video about the Wickwire watch, and that intrigued me. So maybe another click there for me.
Thanks, man. Have a great one, Chris.
Thank you very much, and thank you for everyone attending today. And I've had an absolute blast. So it's been an absolute pleasure. And take it easy, and I'll see you around the traps.
All right.
Thanks, John.
Oh, it was awesome, Chris. Thanks so much, man. This is the most fun for me. Just thanks so much for inviting me. Just to get a chance to talk to someone about books in Australia, it's like it's amazing to me. I had the most fun.
Very good. All right. Have a good day, mate, and I'll catch you later.
Okay, brother.
See ya. Bye.
All right, bud.